In this presentation, we'll look at the human startle response and an example of an accident caused by mismanaging an unexpected event, the cabin door opening shortly after takeoff. Then we'll look at examples of things that can happen in flight unexpectedly that can result in emergencies, and if not managed correctly, accidents. We'll take a quick look at the 5 stages of grief, aka the Kubler-Ross model, and how each stage affects your decision-making and management of emergencies. Finally, we'll suggest some strategies for what to do and what to practice to be ready when the unexpected occurs. The human startle response is a deep-seated reflexive action initiated by the limbic system, the most ancient part of our brain. For eons, it's been a recipe for evolutionary success, instantly preparing us to fight for or run for our lives. Running or fighting may not be helpful when coping with a rapidly developing aviation emergency. Success or failure will depend on how well we are prepared to deal with the emergency, and all too often, how close we are to the ground when it happens. Let's look at a case study of an accident that may have involved a startle response. This is a classic example of an abnormal situation that was not managed well, either because of distraction from the door being open, noise, or trying to close the door, or some combination of those. The PIC lost control of the aircraft while maneuvering to land and solve the problem. This unexpected event became an unexpected emergency when it didn't have to. Here are 4 situations that often catch pilots by surprise. In many cases, pilots don't revisit and practice how they will handle these and many other abnormal and emergency situations except during biannual flight reviews or other recurrent training. Multi-engine pilots need to be current and proficient with engine-out procedures on takeoff. With both single and multi-engine aircraft, an engine-out situation close to the ground requires a pre-planned course of action. Multi-engine pilots practice throughout their training, but many single pilots don't have any pre-planned idea of what they will do or where they will go in such a case. You can think of other emergencies where this kind of pre-planning will make for a better outcome. Here are the 5 stages in detail as theorized by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. The stages popularly known by the acronym DABDA include denial. One of the first reactions is denial, wherein the survivor imagines a false, preferable reality. Anger. When the individual recognizes that denial cannot continue, it becomes frustrated, especially at proximate individuals. Certain physiological response of a person undergoing this phase would be, "Why me? It's not fair. How can this happen to me? Who is to blame? Why would God let this happen?" Bargaining. The third stage involves the hope that the individual can avoid a cause of grief. Usually, the negotiation for an extended life is made with a higher power in exchange for a reformed lifestyle. Other times, they will use anything valuable against another human agency to extend or prolong the life. People facing less serious trauma can bargain or seek compromise. Depression. I'm so sad, why bother with anything? I'm going to die soon, so what's the point? I miss my loved ones, why go on? During the 4th stage, the individual will become saddened by the certainty of death. In this state, the individual may become silent, refuse visitors, and spend much of the time mournful and sullen. The final stage is acceptance. It's going to be okay. I can't fight it. I may as well prepare for it. In this last stage, individuals embrace mortality. People dying may precede the survivors in this state, which typically comes with a calm, retrospective view for the individual and a stable condition of emotions. When dealing with the unexpected, particularly if at low altitude on takeoff or landing, there is the element of surprise. Talk to any pilot who has experienced an engine failure on takeoff who did not brief what they would do below leveling off at the cruise altitude, and they will tell you about the denial phase. It's often wise when planning to surprise a student with a simulated engine failure, landing gear system problem, etc., to allow at least 5 seconds, often longer, before expecting them to react. Practice and preparation will likely reduce this reaction time. Our theme throughout this presentation is think about the unexpected ahead of time. In the comfort of your home or office, it is much easier to think through your responses to such an event in light of these 2 objectives. Let's think back to the case study earlier about the Cirrus that had the door open that resulted in a fatality. Let's think about what went wrong and think of a procedure that would have prevented this tragedy. Once this procedure has been created in your mind, it is important to regularly review and commit to memory this kind of procedure. We're not dealing with the kind of emergency where there's time to pull out the AFM or a printed checklist to make sure we did all the steps. In these situations, there's no time for that. Things are happening too quickly. It is also extremely helpful to either sit in your aircraft and do the steps, touching the controls you'll use, or visualize yourself doing the maneuvers in your chair and using your mind. It's a really good idea to be able to visualize your aircraft's cockpit well enough that you can do this anywhere, regardless. As long as you're going to practice, why not, after you come up with your new revised responses to unexpected emergencies, get together with a CFI and practice them for real in the airplane? Better yet, if you haven't already, sign up for the Wings Proficiency Program and have those hours of practice count towards a Wings level. Like our pilot buddy here, practicing your emergency procedures regularly and imagining what you will do will expose areas where you need more knowledge or expose where your thinking is unclear. Now, you have a chance to sort it out and come up with a plan of action that works better and or makes more sense. There's nothing like the feeling you get when you know you're playing your A game, and in order to do that, you need a good coach. So fly regularly with a CFI who will challenge you to review what you know, explore new horizons, and they challenge you to always do your best. Of course, you'll have to dedicate time and money to your proficiency program, but it's well worth it for the peace of mind that comes with confidence. And be sure to document your achievement in the Wings Proficiency Program. It's a great way to stay on top of your game and keep your flight review current. Special thanks to Jay Mason, who is the author of this presentation. If you have any questions regarding this presentation, you can come to our Facebook page, Main Flying, and post your questions, or on the YouTube channel below, or you can always seek out your local CFI or contact your local FSDO for an FAA safety team representative near you.